Bait and Perek Aleph Mishnah Aleph. Kilayim blot are relatively short. Doesn't mean they're easy, but the first couple are very easy. Relative for Yerushalmi. Hachitim va'zonim. Ena kilayim zeh b'zeh. Hachitim and zonim. Now zonim are poor grade of wheat. So they're not kilayim in each other. Let's see how he translates here. Zonin. This is the Kahati. He says zonin are...
Kilayim means different grades.
Yes, which are forbidden to plant with each other. Yeah. Yes. Guess what? It says here on the spine kilayim, and it doesn't have kilayim. 1 second. It's going to really help. Darnel. Zonin is darnel, which is either called ryegrass, tara, or vetch. Didn't that help? So Chitim and zonim are not kilayim with each other. Ha'sorim, barley, v'shibola, shua, which are oats, are not kilayim with each other. Ha'kusmin, which are spelt, and shifon, which is rye, are not kilayim with each other. Ha'pul, which is bean, and sapir, which is chickpea, are not kilayim with each other. Ha'purkadon, plain pea, Fatopach, another type of bean, are not kilayim with each other. Upula love and white beans, and shuis, kidney beans, ain't a kilayim zebzeh, they're not kilayim with each other.
So what are kilayim? Why did the Mishnah...
They're only these pairs, that's what we're going to learn. They're only these pairs which are not kilayim with each other. If you mix any of them, not right. Right, group A and group B will be kilayim, that'll be forbidden. Ksiv. And now we're going to get into the derivation of this. Ksiv, it says, Sarcha lo sisra kilayim. You shouldn't plant your field kilayim. I would have thought even two types of wheat, white wheat and black wheat, or 2 types of barley, right? Different grades or different types. Similarly, it says your animals you should not husband. That's kilayim. I would have said even a black ox and a white ox, or lishor lovan or a white ox, or gabi shochar and a black ox. Now, which it says you shouldn't wear shanes. I would have said even 2 types of wool, or 2 types of linen. How do we know that it's only cross types, not within types?
Volume 3, volume 1, it is not there. So.
It's not volume 3 now. All right. Okay, thanks for trying.
You want the other English?
No, I have it. I have that one. Okay, so it says more piresh b'bgadim. That's why it says by b'gadim lo subat shanez tzemer upishtim yachtov. It says by garments don't wear shanez, which is defined as wool and linen. Ma pile kile b'gadim shasarti l'chol, just like kile b'gadim, which I forbade you. Shnei minim are 2 different types. Lo zemi means zeh, lo zemi means zeh. This type is not that type, and that type is not this type. Rather, they are completely different. Af kilayim shasarti l'chol b'chol makom. So to climb which I forbade you in all cases, lo zemi means zeh, lo zemi means zeh. They have to be completely different. Okay, so therefore 2 types of wheat are not also each other, 2 types of barley are not also each other, 2 types of oxen are not also each other. Has to be completely different typologies. Yes.
Are the lava saying between shatnez and kilayim is the same?
It's the same thing. Yes. Well, it's not the same lav. They're all malchus. Except for Kilei Akam, which is more severe, which is also Bano. But everything else is alive, right? Okay? Hachitim va'zunim, the wheat and the darnel, the chitim va'zunim ain't kilayim zeh b'zeh, they're not kilayim each other. Hoim sorim kilayim, because they're a group, right? They're a couple. But if you plant the wheat with the barley, then it's kilayim. Hachitim va'zunim ain't kilayim zeh b'zeh. Now, why is that? Why chitim and zunim not kilayim with each other? Maybe it's because hachitim and zunim kilayim zeh b'zeh davar sheino ochel. Then because it's not food. Zunim people don't eat. Animals eat it. Even that is a question. We're going to see what kind of animals. Not all animals. It's very hard to find a species which is going to eat darnel. Would you eat something called darnel? So nobody eats anything called darnel, right? Would you eat them? So it says more. Wait a minute. If that's the case, what's the chiddush of the Mishnah? You think I would have made a mistake to say that wheat and darnel are kilayim? Darnel is not an edible substance. Abba said yes, it is somewhat edible. There's some places which they use it to feed doves. So therefore, the Mishnah had to tell us, you should know, this dove food, the zonin, the darnel, is mutter with chitim, but not with anything else. Okay? So far, so good? I just read it, let me read it again though. For doves, not for Greeks, for doves. Now, says the Gemara, it should be Ummah. Okay, there's a tikkun gears here. Ummah Rabbi Bar Zavta. What's Rabbi Bar Zavta as far as? He like Rabbi Eliezer, like Rabbi Lazer. What did Rabbi Eliezer say? The Tniyat that when we learned over there, Hamakayin Kosi Makarim, you have a vineyard and you leave thorns in your vineyard. So according to Rabbi Eliezer, Omer Kiddush. Kiddush, of course, is a euphemism. What does Kiddush mean? It's bad. It's also right. So Chacham mean low Kiddush. Chacham say, of course, it's not Kiddush. Chacham we understand because thorns are not food, right? So therefore, thorns should not forbid Kilei Kerem, right? Yet we learned over there. Ravo said, time with Rabbi Lazer. What's the logic, Rabbi Lazer? Shekain Makomas Makaimin Oson Kligmalim Barvayo. There are places where they feed thorns to the camels in Arabia. So therefore, Rabbi Lazer holds that thorns are edible. And that's in the make line. Oh, if that's the case, Mother Rabbanan Sarvi Meimar. What do Rabbanan hold? Do they hold that people do not feed camels thorns in Arabia? So Yivtaku, let's check it out. In other words, let's go to Arabia. Smachlokas Mitzvahs, where the Gemara is asking. Let's go check it out. Let's find out if they're feeding them or not. Rabbanan Amrin, Rabbanan said, no, Rabbanan as far as Ma'enachanami. If you know in Arabia that they feed thorns to camels, then in Arabia, thorns create kilayim. Right? Makom shemekaymin son asur, in a place where they're used to feed camels, there it's also. Makom shemekaymin son, in a place where they're not used to feed camels, meaning in the United States or whatever, so their thorns cannot create kilayim. Kilayim Karen applies. No. Kilayim is also world over. For everything, yes. Absolutely, yeah. Kilayim is also all over the world. Yes.
Whoever wrote this portion of the Gemara did not write up to now Yerushalmi.
Right, because he's afraid about Machlokas V'Mtzias, right? Right.
Also, the language is
yes.
much easier.
Yes. It's the first couple, I don't know how the rest of them but the first couple of it's like smooth sailing right after the mic. Okay, tonight's a breeze. Rabbanan say, Makom Shem Kaimin Osan Osur, Makom Shem Kaimin Osan, it's relative. My time at the Rabbi Lazer, what's the logic, Rabbi Lazer? It's one place in the world they use it for animal feed. Nes or Minan, B'chol Makom Shu. It's also everywhere. Now we get back to what we really wanted here. The low Rabbi Bar Zavta Rabbi Eliezer. Doesn't it come out that Rabbi Bar Zavta is like Rabbi Eliezer? Because Rabbi Bar Zavta is saying that the Mishnah had to mention zunin as being mutter and chitin, because zunin are edible to doves. So therefore, they should have a status of kilayim. That sounds just like Rabbi Lazer's svara. Rabbi Lazer said because thorns are edible in Arabia, so therefore they create kaim all over the place. So of course it's very difficult because then Rabbi Bar Lazavta would be saying shitas yochid, and by extension to come at our mishnahs shitas yochid, like Rabbi Lezer, not like Rabbanan. Says more no. Tamon ein derech bnei odom lahavi kotzi mimakom lamakom. People don't bring thorns from Arabia to feed to camels in Eretz Yisrael. It's a local mishugas. In Arabia, they do it, but people don't import and export to kotzim for animal fodder. However, people do bring darnel from place to place. Darnel. darnel from place to place, and therefore since people bring darnel from place to place, I know darnel is just that's what Mr. Blackman says. So since he says that since the people bring darnel from place to place, so therefore it's considered to be universally edible, and that's why the Mishnah had to say that it's not kilayim with chitim. Says more me'atu kilayim achiti. So wait a minute.
Well, it has to be a universal aspect to it.
Has to have a universal aspect to it, right? Me'at otherwise would only be a local issue. Me'atu kilayim achita. So if that's the case, they are edible. Let them be kilayim with chitim, with wheat. So says Maram Rabbi Yoina, you're sitting in the cold seat. You can move over a little bit.
What do you think I'm here?
Yeah. Rabbi Yoina, so Rabbi Yoina said, min chitimim. They're a type of wheat. Ela shaperos mizanim. However, this fruit has been mizaneh. That's why it's called zon. In other words, it is fruit which has prostituted itself. Like we learned in a brisa, for low season arts, by virtue of the fact that it says the land should not prostitute itself. Mikan shaperos mizanim. When we see that fruit, in other words, fruit which goes bad, which consistently grows in a bad way, that's called peros which are mizaneh. Rabbi Yaakov bar Zavdi bought Kumi Rabbi Yirmiyah. Rabbi Yaakov bar Zavdi asked him for Rabbi Yirmiyah. Mas nisin Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yossi. Is our Mishnah going like Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yossi, which again is going to be difficult because Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yossi would be a shitas yochid, would be his individual opinion. What does Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yossi say? To time Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Shmuel in name his father, Tormi min hayayin ala chometz. You can take truma from wine on vinegar. Of course, on wine vinegar.
Of course, that's definitely everything that against what we've learned so far. Because it's two different. Where do we have that?
No, we had a way that's two different meanings.
Right. That's two different meanings.
Yeah, Rabbi Yossi's arguing on that. Right. This goes shitas yochid. That's going to see in a minute. Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Yossi. Mishum he says name's for Rabbi Yossi. Tarmin ayin al chometz. You can take truma from wine on vinegar. Avalom min chometz al yayin, but not from vinegar on wine. However, of v'torim, if you did it b'diavad. Truma, so the truma does work even from vinegar on wine. Rabbi Omer, of course, as we know, hayayin v'chometz shnei minim. Wine and vinegar are two separate types. Never the twain shall meet. And he told me.
Sometimes wine that goes bad becomes vinegar.
That's what we're talking about.
That's the case?
That is the case. Yes, wine, vinegar, according to Rabbi, and the way we paskin, is not the same mean as wine. You can't take trumas and maasros from wine off of wine vinegar and wine vinegar on wine. They're not the same min. So it says the Gemara.
Just as an aside, once we're doing that, raisins are different than grapes. Plums are different than
for trumas.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't learned Masechta Trumas yet. I mean, I have Mishnayos many years ago, but I don't remember a thing. So I don't know. We'll find out when we get there. So Rabbi Yomer yayin v'chometz shnei minimim ein tarv lo masim zel zeh. Now he asked him. Rabbi Yaakov bar Zavdi had asked Rabbi Yirmiyah, is our Mishnah going like Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi? Because it sounds like for our Mishnah that zunin is the same thing like chitim. That sounds like Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi who said that chometz is the same thing like yain, right? Because zunin are chitim which went bad, chometz is wine which went bad. So there's a parallel between our Mishnah and the sheet of Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi. Vava mistakobi. So Rabbi Yaakov bar Zavdi was looking Rabbi Yirmiyah attentively or eagerly and said, waiting for an answer. So Amar Lei, so Rabbi Yirmiyah said, "Man mistakobi. What are you looking at me? Havelach rutzubakam. Bring for yourself a whip so I can whip you." In other words, he asked the klutz kasha. Stupid question. There's no comparison. Tama l'maisras v'kan l'kilayim. No, it's not the coddling method, right? This is Rok Mara B'Talmidim method. Tama l'maisras v'kan l'kilayim. Says there for meiser it's considered to be there for meiser. So wine and chometz are considered to be the same min, only according to Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi, right? However, here for kilayim, it's not comparable. Kilayim, it has to be the same species. In other words, by truma it has to be, I guess, to define it perhaps a little bit better, by truma it has to be the same taste. Right? It has to be the same taste and the same classification in terms of many things, brachas included. Right? You don't make the same bracha on vinegar that you make on wine. Here, however, it has to do with what is a similar type of seed, regardless of what the final product is. And therefore, there's no comparison across the different issues. Okay, so by maasros, they might be two separate minim, but here they are the same min. Okay? Says more further, the Stipler's son, whose parish I have here, says that, throws in as far that their chometz is more mekulkal. But here the Charizonim are also mekukalim. I don't know exactly why that makes a difference. All right, but the bottom line is there's no comparison between Meiser and Kilayim. Rabbi Yonah said, Rabbi Yaakov Bar Zavda was correct at eagerly anticipating an answer for Rabbi Yirmiyah. Rabbi Yirmiyah was not right to deal with them so severely, because Kadhavu Rabbanan Kadmoi, because when there were the rabbis in the ancient years, Bon Mekaima Adam Milsa, when they used to ask and try and sustain this Mishnah, they would sustain the Mishnah by saying the same thing. There's a difference between Maisos and Kilayim, but you see that the rabbis of yore had dealt with this issue seriously, and they had taken Rabbi Yaakov Bar Zavda's question as being a significant one. Rabbi Yosef Shem Rabbi Yochanan said, "Kulu zugos v'zugos." In our first Mishnah, for sure, they go in couples. In other words, you can plant wheat and darno, barley and oats, spelt and rye, bean and chickpea, plain pea and bean, and white bean and kidney bean, but not wheat and kidney bean or spelt and barley. All of those not across categories. So that's what Rabbi Yosef said. Named Rabbi Yochanan. So asking Pirkei Samars, when he said that everything is in couples, was he saying that in all the subsequent Mishnahs in our parak as well, or al hadoyachos are only on our first Mishnah? What was he referring to? So it says, well, let's try and figure out. Miman Damar Rav. For that which Rav said, the 5 vegetables one can be yotzi, the chiv of moror on Pesach. Kulam mutaim lizar baruga. They can all be planted in a patch, a vegetable patch together. V'amar Hada de Rab Pliga Rabbi Yochanan, and we know that statement name of Rab is known to argue in Rabbi Yochanan. Hadamra must mean that Rabbi Yochanan holds Al Kol Pirka Isamra, that the couples exist in the entire parak. Because this is later on in Mishnah. The Mishnah later on talks about the 5 types of Mara. And Rabbi Yochanan said, Rab says that all those 5 types of Mara can be planted together, right? And we know that it's stated that statement of Rav, which says that all 5 can be planted together, we have a tradition that argues in Rabbi Yochanan. If that argues in Rabbi Yochanan, must be Rabbi Yochanan holds that in each and every Mishnah in the Perek, in each and every Mishnah, things which are stated in couples, not just in the first Mishnah. And that's why if you find the 5 types of Mara, then they don't go together. They're going to Rav. It'll only be one, according to Rabbi Yochanan, only be A and B, C and D. I don't know what you would do with E, but you would not be able to crossbreed all of them with each other. Rava,
even though they were all in the same category of Mara.
Even though it's all the same category of Rava. That doesn't make a difference, right? It just means they're bitter. Not that they're the same type of vegetable. Rav Shem Rav said, Kulu zugos. In the entire Perek, it's zugos. So ask him, wait a minute, didn't you just say that all 5 samor can be planted together? There's a contradiction here. Yerushalmi Kilayim means there's a contradiction. Exchange of views, literally, but it means a contradiction. There he says they're all one considered to be one type, all the moror. And here he's saying that it's zugos, the entire parak, even the morors. Says more low. No, you missed the point. When according to this understanding, when Rav said the 5 types of moror can be planted in a patch, he didn't mean they were all the same type. He can plant them with each other. Elamine Irakos, and what he meant is that they're all vegetables, and they can all be planted in a patch together. This is a halacha which we'll see later on, which is that vegetables can be planted in a small patch because their roots don't spread too much, as opposed to grains which cannot be planted in the same patch as a vegetable. So Rav was not saying that they're all the same min morar. He's just saying they can be planted in a patch together with the prerequisite parameters. Not that they're the same min. Okay?
They won't become kilayim.
They will become kilayim. Planted too close together, they'll become kilayim. Right. It's a planted power patch. You see later on in the Masechta, we have all sorts of geschmack pictures. I'm actually going to have to photocopy all these pictures for you so you'll have them. But you see how you plant patches is all going to be a subject. You can see a little bit over here just without knowing anything that all these are going to be how you plant patches to get like 4 types of grain and 4 types of vegetables in the patch, 5 types of vegetable in the patch. So all that will become issues later on. But these are all, that doesn't mean that those vegetables are not kilayim in each other if you plant them too close. Okay? Says the word further. Rabbi Yosef b'shem Rabbi Chia Barva. Rabbi Yosef said name Rabbi Chia Barva. Ashkechun ksiv al pinkasi de Rabbi Hillel bei Rabbi Alos. They found written in the notebook of Rabbi Hillel, the son of Rabbi Alos. Rabbi Yonah Barva b'shem Rabbi Chia Barva said that was one interpretation. Rabbi Chia Barva said another interpretation. Rabbi Chia Barva said is that the Ashkechun ksiv al kosel de Rabbi Hillel bei Rabbi Alos, that they found written on the wall in the house of Rabbi Hillel, the son of Rabbi Alos, that these are the Aramaic translations of the things in our Mishnah. You ready? Pila, Pishuna, Gilbona, Milusa, Sarvona, and Pisilta. Those are all things in our Mishnah. Okay? Kini Masnisa. It's like that Seres Me'oman, right? Kini Masnisa. You should know, and it says in our Mishnah, Kini Masnisa in the Yerushalmi means this is the way to read our Mishnah. To understand in the Mishnah, which has to be somewhat differently understood than we did on the previously. Halavan Vashuis. When it says Pul Halavan, it doesn't mean Pul Halavan, which is another type of mean, but rather means Halavan, which I guess is some other type of legume than Pul Halavan. Rabbi Yonah said, Lamani Crush Shuis. Why are kidney beans called Shuis? Shimashah Shas is a because it makes the heart go crazy. Imagine how you feel after having a trulant. And, of course, Malechus B'nei Amayim, it causes you to have to spend much time in the facilities. Okay? Literally, it causes you causes diarrhea. Okay, halacha base. Kishos v'amalafafon. Now, kishos is a squash, and malafon is a cucumber, but that's in modern Hebrew. I don't know what it is in ancient Hebrew. He says it's cucumber and cucumber melon. And he says here, cucumber melon could be an apple-shaped melon, or squash, a species of gourd or pumpkin. That's all translation of malafafon. So,
is that a better English translation than the Kahati English?
I don't know because we couldn't find the Kahati.
I'll bring a Kahati English.
Okay, bring Kahati English. That's the volume is missing. My hunch is that the English translation here will be better. Of the actual terms in the Mishnah. Because the clarity might be less good. But, we're looking for translations of words. It is probably better here.
They have pumpkins growing in...
Absolutely. Yeah. It's not just a Halloween... Well, it's not just for Linus Van Pelt and the Great Pumpkin. No, it's not what they're... No, these are gourds which grew in the Middle East, yes. So, it's, again, a kishos is a cucumber and a cucumber melon. And I don't know, this... Blackman, I think, is British, isn't he? It's my impression. Right, so I don't know if what they call cucumber is what we call cucumber. My hunch is that this is, although I think it is, but the name of these are different types of squash. So, this is British. Okay, so in any event, so it says they're not kilayim with each other. Rabbi Yerushalmi Kilayim says they are kilayim. Chazeres v'chazeres olshin, v'chazeres that's garden lettuce and wild lettuce. Ocean Voshe says Soda, garden endives and field endives. Krishin Soda, garden leeks and field leeks. Kizbar Soda, garden coriander and field coriander. Chardal v'chardal mitri, that's common mustard and Egyptian mustard. The last mitzvah rumutza, whatever that is. And last the Egyptian gourd and bitter apple, and pula mitzi v'choruv, Egyptian bean and carob. This is not our carobs. It says here rather a species of bean-like plant, not the tree, belonging to the order Leguminosae. Okay, so that's what it is. All these things in Kilayim Zebazeh. Rabbi Yehuda bar Menashe said, it's an amazing Gemara. I looked up everything before I should possibly find. Doesn't have sense. I don't know how to make heads or tail out of this. I mean, I can translate it, but it's botanically, it's wild. Why did Chachamim say Kishos and Kishos and Mir? Kishos and Mlafon are the same. Because Noitel Mo Achas Mipit Moshel Kishuin. You can sometimes plant take a seed from a kishuin plant, the noto, put in the ground, vinasis avatiach, and becomes a melon. Not a real melon, of course, but rather means a one of these gourd type things. Okay, so a kishos become meaning a malafafon. You plant a kishos seed, you get a malafafon, which the Gemara calls avatiach, and vice versa. Oh no. Sorry, and avatiach is some other type of gourd. I apologize. And all them noitel moachas mipit moshe avatiach. A person can take a seed from the pitum, from the extension of the avatiach, the noto, and you plant it. V'nases malafon, and becomes a malafafon. So that's why kishos and malafafon are not kilayim, because both of them have something to do with avatiach, which is some interim type of gourd. So it seems like that there was some understanding that the seeds of one can grow the species of the other. So all these things are lumped together. Now again, I don't know how this works, because it seems to me that you cannot plant botanically seeds of type A and get type B. So I saw the Toldos Yitzchak, who's the last chief rabbi of Moscow. I mean, there's one now, but before him, from the Soviet period, as a I don't know if you've seen him. He has a parish in all of Yerushalmi. I think they're up to printing it to Shabbos or somewhere like that. And he's maybe further than that. It's a very, very large, thick volumes. And he tries to say in his pshat, in his sefer, that somehow, in order to make this, you take the seed of each one and combine them together. So this is in and of itself some sort of crossbreeding. But that's not what the Gemara is saying. I mean, the Gemara is saying that you take a seed of one and you get the other one, and that's why they don't kansu kilayim, because malafafon, avatiach, and kishos are all somehow interchangeable. That's what the Gemara is saying.
Crossbreeding two seeds for sure you can't do.
No, you can't. That's why. But obviously, if the Gemara is, according to him, the Gemara here is saying this is a special exception, since they're so similar to each other, that here crossbreeding would be allowed. Okay. In any event, Rabbi Yehuda Omer Ikaro Kilayim. Rabbi Yehuda says the entire concept of lafavon, and here we do see crossbreeding explicitly, does come from crossbreeding. How does it work? A person takes one seed, mipit moshe avatiach, from the stem of a avatiach, from the gourd, and a seed from the stem of an apple. And I don't know if this apple is what we call an apple, but you put both of them together in a hole, and they combine together with nasim kilayim. Lefum kain, that's why tzavchin means they call it. Pelishta yevana in Greek, mulafafon. Now mulafafon, according to one interpretation here, means something which is mixed together. And another interpretation is that mul and papon, mul means apple in Greek. I don't know what the Greek word for apple is, but here it says that mul, in one of the versions said mul is apple. What?
Sounds good.
Sounds good. And papoon is gourd. So in any event, the bottom line is that we don't know if these are apples. We don't know what kind of gourds they are, but somehow or another in the time of Chazal, all these gourds were considered to be somewhat similar. Rabbi Yehuda is saying the process of growing the gourd, the squash called the mulpapone, by definition requires crossbreeding and therefore is forbidden.
I assume the word malafon must come up somewhere in the Bible. I don't know if it does or doesn't.
It's the Chumash. Oh, doesn't it? No, it doesn't. What does it say? There it says avatichim, doesn't it? Doesn't say avatichim there? Just as kishum and luim there? Does it say avatichim there? This was just a couple weeks ago. This is Baloscha, right? Where was this?
It's more than one time.
Yeah. I remember. So it might actually also have a teich in the Chumash.
Steinsaltz has this analysis on the side of his Gemara's.
Yeah.
You could track it down.
Okay, but in any event, the Gemara's question is Hakishos v'avatiach ma'amar Rabbi Yehuda. What is Rabbi Yehuda obviously holds mlafaphone is kilayim. The variance of mlafaphone is kilayim. What about Hakishos, a squash, and a gourd? All right. What does Rabbi Yehuda say about that? The Shemini Mahadol. Let's start for the following brisa. The brisa says Hakishuin. Let's just call them random words, names. Squash, avatichim, gourds. Mlaphonos, cucumbers. Okay, I'm not sure that's correct, but let's just for that's what they are in that's what I think is what they are. Squash, gourds, and cucumbers. Ena kilayim zebzeh. They're not kilayim in each other. Rabbi Yehuda mer kilayim. Rabbi Yehuda says they are kilayim. Now, what is Rabbi Yehuda saying? No mara kishuin mlaphonim. Rabbanan are saying that kishuin and mlafafonim and a kilayim b'zeh. Avatiach mlafafonim and kilayim b'zeh. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Rabbi Yehuda says on this kilayim. What about akishos v'avatiach? What does Rabbi Yehuda, however, hold akishos and avatiach? That he holds that that's kilayim as well. Says Mara tzricha teku. I don't know. The question stands. Tzricha we said in the Yerushalmi, so we're saying the teku says in the Bavli. So the bottom line is we understand that there's some sort of machlokas between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbanan in this brisa. Because he's saying that whatever Tanakama said about kishuin avatichim lavafonos not being kilayim, Rabbi Yehuda is saying it's kilayim. The question is, how much of that Mishnah is he arguing on? And the Mordechai says, I don't know if he's arguing on Kishus and Avatiach. Maybe he's only arguing on Kishus and Malafafon and Avatiach and Malafafon. But in that, maybe he's not arguing on Kishus and Avatiach, and the Mordechai leaves it really up in the air, and it really doesn't matter, Halach Lamaisa, because I'm sure we don't pass him like Rabbi Yehuda. Okay, Chazer, so Chazer is Galin. We said that regular lettuce and lettuce which grows in the mountains are mutter with each other. Rabbi China, what's Chazer is Galin? Here should be a typo. Is a typo here? It should be chasa de igrit, the lettuce which grows in the mountains. Shimon Bey the Rabbi Abba Amar, it's antuchin. Rabbi Yossi Bey Rabbi Buna Amar, it should be yasei chali. Okay, I'm sure you're all excited by those identifications. We're not quite finished with them. Ushin are truximin, and we said truximin are endives. Ushin saw they're ulsin, krasin, which are a type of coriander, kirsei soda, or kaflutin, dlas hamitris. Then we go later on to dlas hamitris, mentioned in our Mishnah. And so our Mishnah, dlas hamitris is not kilayim with ramutza. Now here there's a problem in the Gemara. It should be masnisin. Take out the next two words, the Rebbe Allah. It should be masnisin the low. In other words, originally it said the low, and some person interpret that that's supposed to be the Rabbi low or the Rabbi Allah, but it's really masnisin the low. Ki Rabbi Nechemia. Our mission is not like Rabbi Nechemia, because they said, and here's also the typo. It should be the Tani. B'Shem Rabbi Nechemia. His brother's name Rabbi Nechemia. The last Aramis, the Aramaic gourd, Hidlas Amitzis is the same thing as the Egyptian gourd. Kilayim mimayavonis. It is kilayim with the Egyptian gourd, and it is kilayim mimaramutza as well. And now to plant them together with the ramutza, which is not like our Mishnah, because our Mishnah says last hamitzvus and ramutza are not kilayim. Varamutza, what is ramutza? Rabbi China said, "Kamin last mola." It's a bitter gourd. The matkinos they sweeten it bechemetz by cooking it in ashes. V'achorov, what is the carrot we mentioned in our Mishnah? Not a regular carrot, but rather Rabbi Yonah, Kamin pul mitzri parsihu. It's like a Persian Egyptian bean. Ukitzoitzi. The leaves on its tree, do damin lecharuba, they're like a carob, and that's why it got its name, a carob. Okay? Says the Mishnah further. What have we done so far? A blot and a half? Says the Mishnah further. halefes, that's turnip, and hanafot, radish. That they're not kilayim with each other. Hakruv, cabbage, and trov sor, cauliflower. They're not kilayim with each other. Hatradim, beet, and mani with the spinach, but not in classic Hebrew. Hatradim, beet, valonim, garden orach. Another type of spinach, he says here. And it climbs up, they're not climbing with each other. Hosef Rabbi Akiva added, Hashum vashumonis, garlic and wild garlic, habotzol v'abetzaltzul, onion and dwarf onion, v'aturmus v'apauslos, and lupine and wild lupine, enam kilayim zebzeh. Okay? Says more lefes vanafus, hakruv vatrubator. What's trubator? Kruv dakik. It's a thin kind of cabbage. Hatrodim valunin. What's lunim? Hamuuyin. Host of Rabbi Akiva added on a shumanis. What shumanis? Tumnisa. Habatzav vabatzaltzol. What's betzaltzol? Plal gula. Hatarmus va pluslus. What's pluslus? Parmua. And kilayim zebezet. Each one of these sets are not kilayim each other. Okay? Uvilan. What about by trees? Hagasin va krustamelin. Pears and small wild pears. Va porishin va uzdoradin. Quince and medlars, or sorb apple or crab apple. Ain't pre kilayim zebezeh. They're not tapuach kilayim with each other. Hatapuach v'chazrod or chazror, the apple and the crab apple. Hapaiskin v'ashkedim. Now he has here peaches and almonds, but that cannot be. Can't be. Those peaches and almonds must be kilayim with each other. They're not at all similar. Ashkenim v'shizifin. I'm sorry, made that wrong. A paskin v'ashkenim. Then a shizifin v'arimin. Jujubes.
It does. Except in the case where
jujubes or service tree. Genus of a small tree or spiny shrub with edible drupes. Imani with it's a plum, yeah. Jujubes and pomegranates and all these types, the latter types mentioned the same for the Mishnah, even though they're similar to each other, kilayim zebazar kilayim with each other. Okay? Now, kilayim here, of course, means grafting. This is an important point he makes here. Trees may not be grafted together, but may be planted together. This is the accepted ruling. Okay, so the prohibition of kila ilan, and Dimri says in my memory, I recall we had this in the Bavli at some point also. Kila ilan are just when they're grafted. Kila Izram is a prohibition of planting. There's no grafting, obviously, by grains or by legumes. By ilan, however, there is no issue planting two seeds together. This there is grafting. Okay? Is that clear? Says the Gemara, Prishin, what are Prishim? Rabbi Yonah asparlagin. And we said here in the English that Prishin are quince. I actually had a quince. Doesn't taste good. Velomini Prishin, and why they call Prishin? There's no other type of fruit which you have to immediately excuse it to the pot. Means the bilvad, except for quinces. In other words, quinces taste bad raw. You can only eat quince as a compote. I don't know if any of you ever had a quince. They sell them in Israel. You can't eat them raw. They look like apples. They taste like bad apples. They only taste good when they're cooked with a lot of sugar. Okay? Shalman Bar Levi, Achoy de Zavdi Bar Levi, the brother of Zavdi Bar Levi, Shemar Shuman Levi said, Zugas, as we mentioned before, all these are in pairs. In other words, you can only are permissible in pairs, not across the lines. Rav Amar Kulu Min Echad. Rav said they're all one min, even if they're not, even if going across lines. Masnisin. Now here the next word is a big typo according to the Gra. Masnisin Messiah Rav. The following brisa is a raya to Rav. What's the raya? The Tani Af Bechim. The brisa adds our to our Mishnah to Bechim. Now I don't know what Bechim is. And it's not really germane, but the raya for Rav is that Bechim makes it an odd number. If you add on one fruit, it makes it an odd number. And making an odd number means we can't be working in pairs anymore, right? Hey, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yossi Barbun. Rabbi Yossi Barbun bought another raya from another brisa to Rav. Tani Af Ha Rugainin. Rugainin are mentioned as well, which also would make it an odd number. Period. B'shuki shel Tziporin, in the marketplace of Tziporin, hoyu markivin krustamlin agabe agos. The taka were grafting wild pears to pears. Ra Talmid Echad, a certain Talmid saw this. Amalem, he said, as surim atem, we're not allowed to do it. Hochel katzutzum, they went and chopped down the tree. Ubal v'shalu b'yavne. They came and asked the Avne, they do the right thing. Amar Lohem, they said to them, to the people of Tziporin, Misha Pakabachem, they said to whoever mentioned, told you they have to chop down the tree, Tamide Be Shammai have even though it's not mentioned here. I guess Shammai held that he was Machmir, and he held that you couldn't grab Agasin and Krustamalim.
He receives money for it. It's his money. It's his deal.
It's a lot. No, we're going to get that. As a matter of fact, we will get that imminently.
Okay, there must be that Shammai holds it.
No. No. Yeah, well, the penalty because they planted it. Yeah. Knas. Says the Gemara. I don't think Yerushalmi holds Kilayim on this, but no. Maybe we'll get to it later on. Okay, I take no rights for anything that's wrong whatsoever at this point.
The other possibility is called Yovid Lo Mahani.
I don't know. It applies to halachic ramifications, not the practical ramifications. Okay, so it says the Gemara. A similar case, well, except the converse of this case.
We have to go out.
Oh no, we're not finished with this case yet. Law Amar, the only permitted el kustamil agabi agas, a wild pear and a pear. Agas agabi chizra, but a pear on a crab apple, lo, it's not good, and that's a raya against Rav, because Rav holds even across categories it's mutter, but here we see that dafka. They would have been matir here. I don't know if it's a raya against Rab, but they would indicate. It seems to be indicating against Rab that the only matir a pear and a wild pear, not a pear and a crab apple. B'tchum Ariach, another ma'isa in a city called Tchum Ariach, Markivin Tapuach Agabi Chizrer. They were grafting apples and crab apples. A certain time it came, he said to them, you're forbidden to do so. They went to cut them down. He came and asked the Yavne. And so he said to them, they said, and Yavne, they said to them, the Talmud told you a good thing to do.
Before she their sin, then he has to bring riots. Misha Tikares after innocent.
Wait a minute, what are they doing in Tchum Ariach?
Why is that? You say that Kanim Subakakayus, what that
Oh, there's a contradiction. I didn't understand this when I was preparing. Well, okay, let's go back to the beginning of this Maisa. Not the beginning of the end of the last Maisa. The conclusion of the last Maisa is Lo Amar Ela Krustamil Gabi Agas. It sounds like what's okay? A Krustamil on an Agas. Agas Gabi Chizrar Lo, but not Agas on a Chizrar. Alright, let's see a contradiction to that. In Tchum Ariach, Markivin Tapuach Gabi Chizrar. They were grafting apples on chizros. A certain time it came, he said to them, and they went and they chopped it down. V'vo v'sholu b'yavna, and they came and asked b'yavna. Amalei, and they said Yavna, Yofer Amar Tam. Tam said the right thing because we said in our Mishnah, a tapuach and chizrar are not good. An apple and a crab apple are two different meaning. If assuming a crab apple is a chizrar. Now it says the Gemara. Wait a minute, but it sounds like a tapuach and a chizrar are not good. That's no good. But it sounds like a chizrar gabi agas low. A chizrar gabi agas, that wouldn't be a problem, which would be like Rav. So the ratios sounded like across categories it's no good, and that's why a agas gabi chizrar for the first mice it sounded like would be no good. The only reason they were mati in the first mice goes in agas and krustamali, which is a pair on a pair, which would not be like Rav. Yet the Seifa says, the second mice I should say says that a tapuach and a chizrar is bad, which seems to hold that an agas and a chizrar would be good. And that would be like Rav, that across categories it is good. So says Gemara, Madahava, you know what, that which happened, Madav uvda, that which happened is Maisa, have a uvda. In other words, these are all Maisim, it's anecdotal evidence, I can't bring a rye from this. We don't know if you're telling over the Maisim correctly. So to know if you're telling over the Maisim correctly, I can't extrapolate from either this Maisim whether Allah is like Rav or against Rav. But for the first Rav Mishnah, for the first Maisim, it sounds like Allah is not like Rav. It sounds like only an Agas and a Krustalin is okay, members of the same couple, but not an Agas Gabi Chizror. From the second case, it sounded, however, that only a Tapua Gabi Chizror is also, but an Agas Gabi Chizror, even though Katzuk has cross categories, might be mutter. So that would be a contradiction. So then the second thing would be like Rav, that even cross categories we can be matir. Says Amar, just throw out the whole thing because it's all based on Maisim, and I can't give any credibility to Maisim. Okay?
It's interesting. First they did what he said, and then they wouldn't ask.
And they would ask Shilas later. They were very frum. They first chopped down the tree, and then they went to ask later. That's right. Yeah.
It could also be what they did, but that doesn't mean that that's Kovei Halach.
You know, it could mean what you're saying. What they did, but it doesn't mean the Kovei Halacha. But now that I think about it again, I understand even better, I think. Madava, Uvdava means don't extrapolate. Whatever took place. You're extrapolating. You're saying, well, since the first case they were matir. Agas and Krustamalin only. It must be that Agas and Chizra is also. Don't extrapolate. Ma'aser shoya kachoya. You don't know what they would paskin by Agas or Gabi Chizror. Maybe they would talk about matir like Rav. And for the second case where they asked for tapuach with Chizrar, you wanted to extrapolate that a tapuach, that a Agas with a Chizrar would be okay across categories like Rav. Don't extrapolate. That wasn't the case. So it's not that the Ma'aser is inaccurate. What?
It's limited
to these facts. So I understood that the mice was inaccurate. You understand sort of the same thing. No, I think now upon reflection, usually what really more was saying is whatever they were dealing with, that's what they passed it. You can't extrapolate to a case which they weren't dealing with. That's what the Gemara means to say. Okay, that makes more sense. Tani, we learned. Now this is the case we asked before. Goy shir kiva goes agabi parsak. A goy who grafted a nut on a parsak. Parsak in modern Hebrew is a peach, but ancient Hebrew obviously means another type of nut. So let's say you grafted a walnut with a pecan, and now you got a pick nut, right? So I'm just making it up, but I'm saying in such a case, a goy did it. Even though a Jew is not allowed to make peck nuts, you can take a branch off of his new tree and plant it somewhere else, and that's our heter to eat what? Nectarines, to grow nectarines. So that's our heter, nectarines, and a whole bunch of other kinds of fruit are like that, right? Tangelos, right? Any fruit which is grafted, we're not. Once the tree is extant, we can use the tree and even plant it over again. Okay? So, ma nafa can be beneon.
This applies to the also?
Yeah. So far, we have seen no different distinctions. What comes out from an egos and a parsak, cross an egos and parsak, and what do you get? Kadre parske. Hirkiv torid, and here it should be actually the girsa is tradin al gabe yarbos. It says here on the bottom, according to the Rash. Either now do it, no to them in a zera, you can take from it a seed, and go plant it somewhere else. What comes from them, meaning kurbe lavnon. Zargum velefes, your same idea. What grows to them, pater pitra siligon. Losing or boatmen, if they're grafted together, you're allowed to take that. Manafi beneon. What comes from both of them? Pistakin, which that I know means pistachios. So pistachios are actually a result of a graft. Don't ask me which kinds of trees. Now they're pistachio trees. Once upon a time, there's no such thing as a pistachio tree. Okay? Zaysiv verimin, if you put zaysiv together, manavi beneon, what do you get from that? Shizfin, whatever that is. Okay? Says the Mishnah further. Hatznon vanapus. Okay. Snon is radish, and napus is turnip. Chardal is mustard, valafson and charlock, not warlock, charlock. Udlas yivonis iarmitzus, Greek pumpkin with either Egyptian pumpkin or armutza, which is called bitter apples, obviously another type of gourd. Ava pisha doimim zelazeh, even though these are all similar to each other, kilayim zebazeh, they are kilayim with each other. Rabbi Yonis said, yesh mem shiur achar pri. Some of them are kilayim because they're two different types of fruit. Yesh mem shiur achar alin. Some of them are kilayim because they're two different types of leaves. Halef is the fruit. Hilchov ben achar alin. They have different types of leaves. Hey, Simon asked the kasha, Haretznon v'nafus. Tznon and nafus are, tznon is radish and nafus is turnip. Are pridome. Now is the fruit similar? Valindomin. The leaves are similar. The Tamar Kilayim, how you going to say why is it Kilayim? Rabbi Yoin said, because they don't have the same taste. So the Stipler son deals with a little bit of a contradiction, because we said before that Levis and Snown, which are what?
By the moral
yeah.
One shita that it was flying just have the same taste, but maybe no difference.
Right, because maybe the leaves are different. Right. So we have three different parameters which can make things kilayim: taste, type of fruit, and type of shape of leaves. If any of those are dissimilar, even one out of three fact qualities, that's enough to make kilayim. All right? In any event, let's leave this type of so difficulty out of this for now. It's not so significant. All right, let's go further. Hazei va'kelev. Wolves and dogs. Guess what kind of kilayim we're talking about now? Animal husbandry. You're not allowed to mate these two animals. Okay? Hazei va'kelev. Wolf and dog. Kelev ha'kufri va'shul. The village dog and the fox. Ha'izin va'tzvoim. Goats and deer. Hayelim v'archelim, mountain goats and ewes. Hasusu haper, the horse and the mule. Haper chamor, the mule and the donkey. Hachamor v'aro, the donkey and the wild donkey. Aval pisha doim zelazim, even though they're similar to each other. Kilayim zebazeh, they're forbidden to husband together.
Is a mule sterile? Or is a donkey sterile?
Mule is sterile, but you can't husband them together. They can have relations. Even if they're barren. By the way, nowadays they just make it as a little known fact, but they don't mate animals anymore. Or on large farms, anything is artificial insemination, right? So I don't think an artificial insemination there's a sister of kilayim. It's my impression. It's only on husbandry. It's husbandry even if you can't produce another generation. But it's only husbandry, not artificial insemination. That's my impression. Okay, I might be wrong. Now, says the Gemara, Ha'kelevim kelev kufrin, einon kilayim. It sounds like a dog with a village dog is not kilayim. Ulok Rameir, that's not like Rameir. Rameir kilayim. Rameir holds a dog and a village dog are kilayim. Afa gav the Rameir omer kelev min behema. Either Rameir says most dogs are types of behemos. Kelev moide bekelev kufri. He holds a kelev kufri shumin chaya. That's a type of chaya. A village dog is a chaya, and therefore there's kilayim between a regular dog and a village dog. Ha'kelev and kelev kufri al daited Rameir. That's why a dog with a village dog called Rameir are kilayim. But we don't hold weight. We hold all klavim are chayos, and therefore you're allowed to mate a regular dog and a village dog. Ovtlot nisa. Hey, what about birds? How come birds are not mentioned? Rabbi Yochanan says, you know what? I don't know why they're not mentioned, but I'll prove to you that they're also as well. I see Semi David delay. I'll bring you a case mentioned in Brisa, which proves that they're also Hatarnigol, a rooster, is also to mate with a pisyoni. And Tarnigol and a tavas with a, I don't know what pisyoni is, but a tavas is a goose. So a hen and a goose, obviously, even though they're similar to each other, kilayim zebazay, they're climbing each other. Rav Shimon Lakish says, why do you have to tell us that price? So, Mishnah Shema Shana Lona Rebbe. You taught us an explicit Mishnah. What's the explicit Mishnah? The Mishnah says, it says by Shabbos. There's a Mishnah in Baba Kama, it says here, that all the halachas which apply to Kilayim apply to Shabbos as well. And there, birds are mentioned. It says achashor and achas, any animal, including oaf. So it says there explicitly that both by Shabbos and Kilayim it applies both to birds, right? That the Kilayim and Shabbos apply to birds and to birds and to at the chayos, right? Amar, so says Gemara, Amar Rabbi, and here he changed the girsa to Rabbi Yoina. Rabbi Yoina, tzmichul the Rabbi Yochanan. You still need the brights which Rabbi Yochanan brought down. Why? It says. It says here what chayas are also to each other, and explains the source there in Masechta Baba Kama. It says you what behemoths are to each other, Parshas Tamon, and explains the source over there. Of Tanisa Tamon, a bird is mentioned over there, the source that it's also by Shabbos Kilayim, Aso Parshan Tasa Hacha, but it doesn't explain in our Mishnah. So that's what is also. So that's Rabbi Yochanan to bring the Brisa, which explains what is also in terms of birds. Okay, so a little bit the lush is a little bit choppy. Oh, by Shabbos it's Hashbosas Behema, Shvisas Behema. So same animals that turn Shvisas Behema and Kilayim. The animals have to rest. So I'm not sure. The lush is a little bit choppy, but Parshan Tosa means there's a certain explanation which you need in Kilayim and which you need there in Baba Kama. In Baba Kama it's telling you the Isser itself, and here in Shabbos in Kilayim it's telling you not the Isser, but rather what minim are Isser. So in our Mishnah it mentions Behemoths and Chayas. But I still needed Rabbi Yochanan to come and tell me that there's a brisa which speaks explicitly about birds and tells us what behemoths are. Birds are also with each other as well. Okay, I'm Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi said, Vios. The truth is Reish Lakish Kasha is very good. Reish Lakish asked the Kasha. What did Reish Lakish ask? He asked that we had a Mishnah in Shabbos. Right, because Reish Lakish's kasha is Reish Lakish is saying on Rabbi Yochanan, you didn't have to bring the question which asked the base medrash is Oflot Nisa. Where do we see that Of is Aser? We didn't ask for the details of birds. We asked to know the Isser of birds. So yes, Rabbi Yochanan, of course the Bryce which you're saying has a point. The point which your brisa you're making, the point of the brisa you brought down is that it tells us what the parameters of the prohibition are. But that wasn't the question which was asked. Reish Lakish was saying the question which is asked was, how do I know that there's an Isser of Kilayim by birds? And all I needed to prove me that is the Mishnah and Baba Kama. That's all I needed. I didn't need Rabbi Yochanan's Svara, brisa. Rabbi Yochanan is the what? I wanted to know where it says that it's awesome. So therefore, Rabbi Shlokish's kash is good, because Balo diachosha of asmi kilayim. I needed to know that kilayim is awesome by birds, and that I know already from a Mishnah. But I don't need Rabbi Yochanan's brisa. Mishnah it's always better. Okay, let's just finish to halacha zayin. Rabbi Yirmiyah said, Kahana shal Reish Lakish. Kahana is Reish Lakish marbia b'chayas sayam. Let's say you made a seal and a whale. Mao. What's halacha? Truth is those are both mammals. That's a poor example. It means you're two fish. You made a tuna and a dolphin. No, it doesn't say here whale. I took the example. That's what I'm saying. I scratched my example. Take you made a tuna and a dolphin. What's that halacha? Amarle od hang siba and luminaim. It says they're luminaim. They have to stick to their own type, so let's also climb over there. Rabbi Yachal didn't say that the discussion went like this, rather in the following version. Same idea, different record. Elahavam Rabbi Yachal Shem Rabbi Shlokish. Rabbi Yachal said in the name Reish Lakish, Kosh Kosabel Mineu Kilayim Noegbo. Anytime it says Kilayim, Mineu, Kilayim applies. Haysiv Kana, that Rav Kana asked, Harei Chaya Sayam. What about that fish in the sea? It says Mineim Me'ato Kilayim Noegbo. Does Kilayim apply to fish in the sea? Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Boon, Hacha Paras Kana Mitzudase Reish Lakish. Here, Kahana spread his then a Reish Lakish and caught him. What was Rav Kahana's question? It's much more of a question than you think. The question is, there's no way of husbanding fish. Now, I don't know anything about marine zoology, but the Gemara is saying you can't husband fish. So what is Reish Lakish saying? That there's an Isser of Kilayim by fish. They're not husbandable.
Because the way fish typically do it is the eggs.
Yeah.
There isn't any connection between the male and the female.
How does it work?
Eggs, and a male drops sperm on the eggs. That causes.
So that's how it happens. The male drops the sperm on the eggs outside the body.
First, and a little nest.
Yeah.
A little while, and then the male just comes by.
Really, that's how it works. Fish don't reproduce, no.
Yes.
But I should remember. They didn't teach us in high school biology either, because then I remember. No, in high school biology they taught us. I took in New York. New York, for the regents, you had to learn about earthworms, and I don't remember which mammal, or some sheep, and the human being. So therefore, we never learned about fish, as far as I can recall. So fish, that makes sense. So there's no mating, so it can't be any Isser of Kilayim. So that's the Rav Kahana's question. There's no husbandry. How can you have an Isser of Kilayim? What's the Shlokish saying? I didn't know that they didn't reproduce sexually. I thought that they just did. They were from. That's how I always thought the pshat is. You're telling me something I never knew before. Now I understand. They didn't sin because they couldn't sin. There's no such thing. It's a chiddush, okay? Live and learn. Says the Gemara. Rabbi Yoin said, no, I can sustain Reish Lakish. I can explain the Reish Lakish meant mishum manhig. There's another Isser bar Kilayim. Lo sachosh b'shor v'chamor yachdav, right? You can't pull or do any work with Kilayim. That's what applies by fish. What would you do? Maisei chut, if you to bring a string, and tie one string on the ear of one fish, and another string on the ear of another fish, and they'll swim with each other, and pull your plow on the shore. That's also. So your shlok is referring to is not husbanding them, which is not try, but rather doing work with them. We'll stop here for this evening.